Hello everyone and welcome to the first ARPEDIO LinkedIn Live session. I'm super excited to be here today. My name is Max Opp and I'm the host of today's session. The themes of the LinkedIn Live sessions will be the digital sales revolution. And not just today, but also in the upcoming sessions, we have great thought leaders and sales experts as our guests. So make sure to follow ARPEDIO on LinkedIn to stay tuned. Before we start the session, please make sure to use the chat box, share your questions with us, and we will try to pick them up as they come in. And yeah, I want to kick off this session with an introduction of our panelists today. And yeah, I would hand it over to you, Ulrik.
Hey, Max. Thanks for having me. Yeah, Ulrik Monberg, CEO and founder of ARPEDIO, and very happy to be here today and talking to you guys. Anders,
And
welcome.
Anders, you go next.
Yes, thank you for that, guys. My name is Anders Petersen, and I am the VP of Sales here in ARPEDIO.
Nice. So yeah, let's go. Let's start with the first question. The first one goes to you, Ulrik. Why did you found ARPEDIO, and what is your vision?
Basically, we decided that ARPEDIO needed to be in the world of CRM to empower business professionals. From a long career of management consulting, seeing a lot of CRM projects not delivering the value that they promised and not delivering anything to empower the individual. It was always about transactional data and stuff. So we decided that this CRM space needed to be enriched with sales best practice and coaching tools on top of Salesforce. And the vision is basically to empower business professionals in the complex selling, in strategic account management, to enable companies' sales best practice to come to life and generate behavioral data that you can then correlate into improving your business even further.
Thank you, thank you. And yeah, I would build up on that, and I would ask you, Anders. Before you joined ARPEDIO, you were a partner and director at Deloitte, and you kind of came into a super interesting phase of ARPEDIO. And yeah, I want to know what happened. How come you came to ARPEDIO?
Yeah, that's correct, Max. And first of all, I would say that Deloitte is a fantastic organization, a huge global complex organization working with the most complex global clients in the world. So it was definitely a fantastic journey. I worked in Deloitte for 6 years as you mentioned, as partner and sales director. And in total, I have been in Big Four consultancies for more than 15 years, working with complex solution sellings and relationship management. So in that process and in my journey in Deloitte, I met Ulrik and ARPEDIO, and actually worked for plus 5 years to close together with ARPEDIO and Ulrik and the rest of the organization, implementing and embedding the ARPEDIO tools in the Salesforce org in Deloitte with very huge success. But after so many years in Big Four, I also felt it was time for change, and luckily Ulrik needed a person like me to help ARPEDIO on the next growth journey. So that was why I joined ARPEDIO.
Nice. And another question for you, Ulrik. We all know there are a lot of strong opinions about what is the sales best practice and the sales best process. Maybe just give us some thoughts. What do you think? Why is that?
Yeah, first off, of course, super happy that Anders decided to support this journey after having worked with us for so many years. So it's great to talk sales processes around Deloitte with Anders, but even greater to talk about Arpedio sales processes and how we can bring value to our clients out there. Yeah, so a lot of these sales methodologies and sales trainings methods has been around for many years, and some are very religious about them. What I found during my long career in coming into a lot of different companies is that they never really get a foothold in the company because they're missing the angle of actually getting to company sales best practice. So how do we actually get in there and make it the company sales best practice? How do we know what really works for this company instead of coming in with a generic method that is basically just a way of selling? All these methods have good components in them, of course, but they're also somewhat similar and then somewhat different. But in the end of the day, we believe that it has to be method agnostic. We have to get in there and operationalize the sales training, and that's what our tools are kind of designed to do, to actually hold that Deloitte sales best practice. It's Deloitte. Another client, if it's a scale up, another one if it's a big like a SAMA, a Strategic Account Management Association company member that has their own based on the SAMA framework, but still their own account best practice and things they need. So, so I don't think there is a one best sales best practice. I think there are common elements, but every company will be different, and that's what we try to cater to.
And Anders, I can imagine that this was also one of the reasons why you ended up deploying Arpedio. Could you maybe take us back, like what were the reasons for deploying Arpedio from your perspective? And also maybe give us an idea, what was the impact of deploying Arpedio?
And thank you for that, Max. Interesting questions, and I don't know if we have 1 or 2 hours, but let me start, and then we can see where we can end it. No, first of all, I would say that in Deloitte we used Salesforce. I have also worked together with a lot of other competitors to Salesforce and self-made CRM systems, and I can definitely state that I think Salesforce is the best solution in the market at all. When that said, we launched first of all a central sales department which needed to work very closely with the 5 business units. Together with that, we implemented a really ambitious key account program across our 2 focus areas, which was an industry focus area and a private segment for the mid-sized companies. And we simply just needed something to work around about, and we needed some changes in our way of working with each other internally, but also with our clients.
So, I remember, Anders,
yeah,
I remember
Ulrik?
we had one of the first meetings after having been introduced with the 3 or 4 of your managers, and actually going through what they thought they needed. And basically they were asking for some structure or some common way of working. How do we ensure that our reps are actually working in the same way? And that's when things began to come alive.
Definitely agree with you, Ulrik. And on top of that, you could take, for example, just in Denmark, 3,500 other colleagues. So how do you actually define the sales best practice? How do you get the different or the best inputs for all your colleagues and put it in this common way of working? So that was definitely the first reason. It was this common language common processes, and understanding of how we want to work together internally towards our prioritized strategic accounts. Then Max, you asked about the impact, and first of all, I can see, or I can say that it increased our focus in the way of being much more professional in working with our clients, and of course, and luckily, it also increased the revenue significantly. Then it also secured this alignment across both the sales department, but also across the entire business around how we wanted to work with the most important clients, and last but not least, what kind of actions should we take? So the last thing was also this ongoing coaching, development and training possibilities there are in the ARPEDIO solutions, where you can very easily help your colleagues in a very efficient way. So yeah, that was some of the impact.
And talking about the changes that happened in Deloitte, I think in general we can see that a lot of companies right now need to change. Ulrik, what are your thoughts on this? Why do companies need to change right now? And why does especially the digitalization of sales matters at this point?
Yeah, and it becomes somewhat of a cliche again to mention pandemic and data-driven organizations, and we all are pushed towards a more digital world. But in essence, the data-driven companies outperform companies where they don't understand how to use data, and that will just increase with AI and ability to actually go into a space where you know why things are working, not just trust in what many sales organizations that are built on, we just hire the best people, then they'll fix it, or we'll just implement these processes and then the processes will drive it. Today, you need the tools and the data and the structure around it to outperform your competitors. And this, our mission is going in and help collect some of the behavioral data on what really works in relationship management, who knows who, and go in and do assessments of accounts over time. And you have to start to do that in order to get that data and enrich that so you can do correlations with transactional data, which we have had for a long time in CRM and ERP systems, to actually go in and analyze, or have AI analyze what is it that makes the winning deals come through or the accounts churn, and how do we actually avoid getting the bad cases versus getting more business and higher revenue. The companies that are going to understand that, they're winning. I mean, that seems obvious, but I think that is the key. And then the way in there is, how do you operationalize the things that you really want people to do when you know what works? And that is what we really are all about there.
And maybe also, Anders, to get your perspective in on this. I mean, you're talking a lot with prospects, with customers, and especially also with forward-thinking sales leaders. What are their business drivers, and what are they are looking for at ARPEDIO?
Yeah, I would say a couple of things, Max, and I think Ulrik have just talked about the data part, which is definitely a huge driver. Another driver is actually the transparency about what and how are we working. Most CRM systems is very transactional. So, and especially in these COVID times and beyond that, but very many of them are actually requesting, how can I support the sales reps and sales managers in the most professional and effective way, with ongoing coaching and sparring in an up-to-date way, that is not forcing a sales course physically every second year or something like that.
The laminated papers that we used to have.
Yes. You know, A3
just
and
3 weeks ago, I walked into an office where the sales guy said, "Oh, this is our sales process," and I was like, "Yeah." how do you
and I think
that?
I totally agree with you. Like, we have all been in a huge range of those great sales courses, and if you asked us 2 weeks after how we work with it, then we should go back and find the presentations and stuff like that. So something that you can work with on a daily basis, and we also just know that every science shows that if you want to drive the right behavior and drive new behaviors, then you need to work with it every day and every minute almost, because then you will drive change and behaviors, and not by participating in yearly sales conferences and stuff like that. And then I will also say the last thing to that question, Max, which I think as a sales professional is very interesting, because 2-3 years back, everybody says, well, we have a CRM system, and then we have the sales tool that supports the sales department. And I must say, when I talk with the most forward-thinking sales managers, sales leaders, chief commercial officers today, they are talking about a sales tool stack on 8 to 10 different tools, growing into 12 and 15 tools. So I can see this is really changing rapidly. Of course, the CRM system is the foundation, but then the most forward-thinking have also recognized that they need to put something on top of that, that again creates the data that Ulrik talks about.
Perfect. Thank you very much for sharing your inputs and your thoughts on this. I would like to round off this session with one key takeaway from each one of you, a key takeaway or a recommendation for sales leaders. And again, Ulrik, I would like you to start, please.
Yeah, I think the one key takeaway should be to start to collect this behavioral data so you can have an impact on a better future. That remember that, and then a lot of things will happen. You have to collect that data so you know what good looks like.
Thank you. What about you, Anders?
One key takeaway is definitely to create and implement one common language around how you work with clients and your sales best practice. The impact will be increased revenue, much better alignment, internal and external, and of course also a huge development in competences, because you now have this coaching and training from hours to hours.
Perfect. Anything left to add, Ulrik, Anders?
No, Max, I think I would say that remember that improving the sales processes and the tools and the people never stops. As an agile process, so it will continue, and you have to collect the data to know what to improve and move on with, but it's an agile process that keeps moving. But aside from that, I would say thank you very much for facilitating, Max. It's been a pleasure.
Yeah, you're welcome. The pleasure was on my side. Perfect. Thank you everyone for joining in. As I said before, don't forget to follow ARPEDIO on LinkedIn and to stay tuned for our next session. We have a lot of great guests coming up. Hope to see you all again soon and take care. Bye-bye.
Bye, Max. Bye, Alex.
Bye.
See you out there.